All right, let's get talking. Have a bit of a cold. But anyways, this video is why black immigrants do not feel beholden to or ready to bow down to self-described ADOS FBA for immigrating to America. First of all, while it is true that many black people immigrated, that is made a voluntary migration to the United States during the civil rights era, and African Americans did campaign to make black immigration easier. Black people had been immigrating to America before the civil rights movement, such as this woman who came from Guadeloupe, Guadeloupe in 1911. She came on the ship SS Corona April 6th in 1911. And let me see if I can, it's not allowing me to get rid of all of these images. So we can go here. Okay, so she came in 1911. This is before African Americans had any say in who came excuse me, to this country. So if Caribbean people are aware of this, I don't know if they are, if this newer trending migrants are aware, and of course they're not going to feel like uh, you or we African Americans had any power. And then as far as, if I can, it is more who migrated at an early time. To men, Caribbean American Heritage Month. It shows Caribbean men checking in. This is before the civil rights movement. The only people who were letting them come in was the United States government, which was run by white men, not black men, not black people. Let's see if I can find this. That's not it. I don't know what. See if I can find this. That's not relevant. Okay, here we go. Something that is relevant. If this ever opens. Okay, so those who align themselves with being FBA or ADOS, can't forgive me for this, having a cold. see things that Europeans produce as superior, although they will try to take credit. So they will look at a house like this, which is designed by Europeans, and they will look at a house, a traditional African dwelling, and they will look down on that as inferior and try to deny that their ancestors lived in African style homes. Yet Africans who are aware of what type of housing they have in America and Europe, and who may very well themselves see Europeans as superior, are not about to bow down to self described ADOS or FBA because they know that ADOS, FBA did not know how to build houses such as the one I showed you on the other page. They simply were trained, maybe they were trained to help or construct such houses, but on their own, the ancestors of self described FBA, ADOS, did not achieve beyond what uh, was achieved in Africa. When I say by themselves, I mean without white tutelage. Even those, and this is a Native American uh, dwelling known as a wigwam, even those who go around talking about they are indigenous cannot show that Native Americans, who their culture vulturing off of, built houses in their mind superior to that of Europeans. I don't know what this is. We'll see if it's relevant. So another thing, looking at this background, all these skyscrapers, and looking at these men on this high beam, I don't think any of them are black, but they were involved in the construction of um, these buildings. Now, again, self-described FBA ADOS look at the infrastructure of the United States and try to take credit for it and talk about how we built America and want black immigrants to look up to them for having done so. But uh, black immigrants don't see black people building things in America, so it's difficult for them to see. And I gotta say us since I am African American, and this ADOS term and FBA term, although I don't use it, does apply to African Americans. They do not see us building things like this, and they don't all necessarily, or they, again, without white tutelage, we're not building anything significant for the most part. at least in the areas of Africa that African Americans came from, who is kind of like they feel like, I'm pretty sure they might not like this, and this is not meant to please either side, but knowing that we come from them and that they didn't accomplish anything in terms of on the level of Europeans as far as architecture. Um, they don't think that there's anything special about us, that we have any more intelligence or innovativeness than they do. It was only due to the tutelage of Europeans that we can talk about all the Black or African American inventors. You gotta think, why is it that there was no Lewis Latimer or no Elijah McCoy, no George Washington Carver that developed in Africa, even though we come from the same stock of people? And why is it also, for those who want to talk about being indigenous, why is it only that this brilliance only opened up when the oppressor arrived? So it's difficult for people to make a connection between what I showed you on that other page and people on this uh, the porch of this slave shack or shack of these enslaved people. Now, what we can say is that the capital produced from selling um, the products that enslaved people produce: cotton, tobacco, sugarcane. I'm not sure if they produce coffee in the United States. Um, rice and indigo. Yes, the profits were invested into the economy, and then mainly white people built things, although there were black people involved in laying down much of the railroad tracks. But as far as the overall infrastructure, no, mainly it was white men who did that. And considering that um, there were free white workers, and free white workers outnumbered enslaved black or African descent workers, we have to conclude that, like it or not, although they got paid, and that's an issue that they got paid and our ancestors did not, that overall, free white men and women contributed more to the American economy than did enslaved black, African, or African descendant men and women. Although there were, of course, certain institutions that were upheld by the enslavement of people of African descent. Um, I would say that the overall contribution of uh, enslaved people to just solely what became the American economy was actually brief. Now, you have to remember that the United States started off as 13 colonies, which were a part of Britain, and until 1776, or even after, those colonies benefited Britain to a degree. So if we're just talking about, people talk about ADOS, people who say they're ADOS talk about a justice claim, we could maybe count from 1776, or we could count from 1790, because this is when the U.S. Constitution was um, uh, implemented, was ratified. All 13 of the original colonies had signed on to the U.S. Constitution. We count from then until 1865, and this is the period at which only universally uh, enslaved people were contributing solely to the American economy, because United American as in United States colony economy, because during the Revolutionary War between 1775 to 1782 or 83, there were still loyalists, for example, down in Florida, who were still uh, probably, if they could, were paying taxes to the British. So, closing that out, again, more West African